You are listening to PastThink.com audiobook. Please like and subscribe, thank you. Chapter 52. Kong Ming justifies capturing 3 cities. Zhao Zilong uses a clever plot to capture Guiyang. The loss of Nanjun and Xiangyang to Kong Ming is too much for Zhou Yu. It causes his wound to reopen, and he collapses. When he comes round, his officers try to pacify him, but he exclaims, "Nothing but the death of that country bumpkin Kong Ming will do." He later tries to persuade Lu Su to join him in an attack on Xuanda and Kong Ming, but Lu Su is blunt and to the point. "Absolutely not," he declares. Eventually Zhou Yu agrees that, rather than fight them, Lu Su will go as an ambassador and see if he can patch things up between the 2 leaders. Arriving at Kong Ming's headquarters in Gongan, Lu Su has to confess to himself that he is really rather impressed by Kong Ming's skills and the appearance of his army. When Lu Su lays before Kong Ming the South's view that he and Xuanda have usurped their land, and that they have no right to take it, Kong Ming is quite shocked. "I'm sorry, but on what legal basis do you make this claim?" he asks. "Surely we all agree that things belong to their proper owner, and these lands we've taken never belonged to the South. They belong to Liu Biao, of whom my lord Xuanda is an uncle. Liu Biao may be dead, but his son lives, and what uncle would not care for the well-being of his nephew?" To this Lu Su tries a riposte. That would be the case if the son was here, but he is not. He's in Jiangxia. "Well, perhaps you would like to meet him," says Kong Ming, and he summons Lu Qi. As he emerges from behind a screen, Lu Su is shocked to see how ill he appears. He has to be helped by 2 assistants. "I'm so sorry," says Lu Qi, "but my ill health means I am unable to offer you the proper greetings due to an honored guest." Soon after, he is helped away. "What if the son were to die?" asks Lu Su. "Well, of course, in that case," replies Kong Ming, "we could discuss what happens next. It would be my belief that if he dies the land reverts to the South." "Indeed, you are probably right," says Kong Ming, and then to celebrate this understanding he orders a banquet to be prepared. When later that night Lu Su reports back to Zhou Yu, his master is far from impressed. "But surely," says Zhou Yu, "Lu Qi is but a youth with many, many years to live." "Believe me," says Lu Su, "if you'd met him you'd have seen how his dissolute lifestyle, women and drink, has sapped his qi. He looks weak and wasted. His breathing is labored. I give him 6 months at the most. Once he is dead, I'll go and claim Jingzhou by rights, for Xuanda will have no excuses left." Zhou Yu is still troubled, but this is soon put into context, for a messenger comes announcing that Sun Quan is besieging Hefei and requests more troops. After his collapse Zhou Yu needs to rest and recover in Chaisang, so he sends Qingpu to the aid of Sun Quan at Hefei. Back again to Xuanda. His problem is how to retain his recent gains. His friend E.G., who saved his life from Kai Mao's plot, suggests that there are highly prized scholars in the area who could help. They are the 5 brothers of the Ma family, renowned for their skills and wisdom. The foremost is Ma Liang, and Xuanda sends for him. "My advice," says Ma Liang, "is that you need to secure Jingzhou by increasing the status of Lu Qi. Ask the emperor to make him imperial governor of Jingzhou, surround him with former leaders of the province, and let the young man recover his health while controlling, through his family reputation, the city. The local people will be happy with this. Then you'll be free to march south to take Wuling, Changsha, Guiyang and Lingling. There you'll have a much more secure base, with money and food aplenty. My suggestion is that you take Lingling first, then Wuling. Then go east of the river and take Guiyang and finally Changsha." Xuanda is delighted with this advice and sends Zhang Fei to attack Lingling. Foolishly the governor of Lingling, urged on by his son Lu Xian, places his trust in a mighty warrior called Xing Darong. The governor believes that Xing Darong can defeat anyone who comes up against him. Zhang Fei's army arrives, and Xing Darong rides out to confront them. "Traitors," he shouts, "go from my country." To his surprise he sees coming out of the massed troops a carriage in which sits none other than Kong Ming, dressed in his Taoist robes. I've defeated a 1,000,000-strong army, so you are nothing. My advice to you? Surrender now and save your life. You didn't win the Battle of the Red Cliffs, shouts Xing Daorong, so don't come trying to intimidate me. And as he speaks he charges towards Kong Ming. Kong Ming has the carriage turned about and disappears into the ranks of the army. Xing charges on regardless, convinced he can reach Kong Ming and slay him. But instead of Kong Ming he suddenly finds himself confronting a furious Zhang Fei. After trying to hold him off, Xing turns and flees, only to then be challenged by Zhao Zilong. Knowing he is defeated, Xing surrenders and, bound, he is brought before Xuanda. Xuanda is all for executing him there and then, but Kong Ming stops him. Xing Daorong is offered his life if he will help them capture Lucien. Xing eagerly agrees, and a plot is hatched. He will be released and make his way back to the enemy camp. Attack tonight, he says, and I'll work from within to help you. Once you have his son, the governor of Lingling will surrender. However, no sooner has Xing Daorong returned to his camp than he tells Lucien everything. Together, they plan to turn the trick back upon Kong Ming and his men by ambushing them. At dead of night the enemy approach Lucien's camp and swiftly set fire to the undergrowth. In response, Xing and Lu attack and drive them off. So excited are they chase them for some distance until suddenly there is no one there to chase. Seized with foreboding, they will round and dash back to their own camp, only to find Zhang Fei coming out of the camp, roaring at them. Why don't we turn the tables and raid their camp, says Lucien, and they will round again, but have not gone far before encountering Zhao Zilong and his troop. With a single thrust Zhao kills Xing, and even though Lucien tries to flee he is swiftly taken, and brought bound before Kong Ming. In desperation Lucien pleads with Kong Ming, I was fooled into doing this by Xing Daorong. To his surprise, Kong Ming orders him set free. He is given fresh clothes and wine to calm him down. Then Kong Ming sends him back to his father, the governor. He is to tell him how well he has been treated, and to persuade the governor to surrender. Lucien does exactly as instructed, and his father, seeing the wisdom in all this, surrenders the city. In recognition of this action, the governor is left as governor, and Lucien is sent to join the army of Xuanda stationed at Gongan. The ordinary people rejoice that, for once, a city has changed hands, but they have been left unharmed. Now Xuanda has to plan for the capture of Guiyang, and he calls for a volunteer. Zhao Zilong immediately offers, but Zhang Fei somewhat brusquely says he wants to go. This creates considerable tension and disagreement between the two warriors until Kong Ming says that, as Zhao Zilong volunteered first, he is the chosen one. Zhang Fei furiously rejects this, so Kong Ming has them choose lots, and once again fate determines that it will be Zilong. Zhang Fei tries one more time by saying that he could capture the city with just 3,000 men, to which Zilong retorts, well, so can I. So it is that Zilong departs, to Kong Ming's delight, with just 3,000 men. Xuanda tells Zhang Fei in no uncertain terms to shut up and retire with at least some semblance of grace. As Zilong advances upon Guiyang, the governor, Zhao Fan, knowing his reputation, decides to surrender. However, a young firebrand, Chening, argues that he should be allowed to at least try to defend the city, pointing out that, if he fails, the governor can always surrender afterwards. It is a bold Chening who with 3,000 men rides out to the battle. But it takes Zilong only a short time to rout Chen Ying's men and put them to flight. Zilong spots Chening fleeing on horseback and hunts him down, until he is captured and brought back to the camp. Did you honestly think you could defeat me? Well, I've decided to spare your life, says Zilong, simply because I want you to go back to Zhao Fan and persuade him to surrender. As this was always Zhao Fan's intention, he, of course, welcomes this news. He rides out to Zhao Zilong's camp to surrender in person. Over the initial celebration wine, Zhao Fan notes that he and Zhao Zilong belong to the same family, come from the same town of Jinding, and that 500 years ago they were one family. So they dedicate themselves as sworn brothers one to the other. When Zilong rides into the city to take over, people are so relieved that there has been so little fighting they line the road offering incense, and Zilong assures them of their safety. Zhao Fan has prepared a banquet, and the two get quite drunk. Afterwards, Zhao Fan invites Zhao Zilong back to his own chambers, where, without warning, a beautiful woman dressed in formal mourning clothes of exquisite silk brings him wine. Her beauty is of the kind that overthrows empires. Needless to say, Zhao Zilong asks who she is. "She is my sister-in-law," says Zhao Fan, and Zilong bows graciously to this family member. Although Zhao Fan suggests that the woman join them, Zilong feels uncomfortable, and so the lady retires. Now a little troubled by what has happened, Zilong asks his new brother, "Why did you have your sister-in-law bring me my drink?" "Ah," says Zhao Fan. "I've a good reason. Her husband, my older brother, died 3 years ago. I've tried to suggest she should remarry, but to no avail. She's set 3 criteria for any man she will marry. Firstly, he must be famous for both his literary and military accomplishments. Secondly, he must be good-looking and well thought of. And thirdly, he must have the same family name as her late husband. Now where on earth am I going to find someone like that? You, however, respected brother, meet all 3 criteria. So why don't you marry her, even if she is plain-looking, and I will give her a dowry, so she can be at your service, and link our families for generations to come. Now, what do you say to that?" Zilong is furious and he gets to his feet and lambasts his new brother. "We've sworn to be brothers, so your sister-in-law is also my sister-in-law. How on earth can you imagine I would want to confound that with such outrageously immodest behavior?" Zhao Fan is totally nonplussed and pleads that he meant no harm by the suggestion. "There really is no need to be so rude," he says, and he looks towards his guards, indicating that they should kill Zilong. But Zilong catches the look. He hits Zhao Fan so hard he falls over, and then he marches out, mounts his horse, and rides out of the city. Deeply troubled by the anger he has provoked, Zhao Fan calls in his 2 bravest commanders, Chen Ying and his friend Bao Ling. They offer to pretend to desert so they can get inside Zhao Zilong's camp. With 500 men who will also seem to have deserted, they will seize Zhao Zilong when Zhao Fan attacks. Arriving at Zilong's camp, the 2 officers claim that Zhao Fan was planning to get Zilong so drunk that night that he could then kill him and send his head to Cao Cao. "That is the sort of violent man he is, which is why we decided to desert," they say. But Zilong is not fooled. He gets them so drunk they are easily overpowered, and one of their servants is made to confess their plan. Calling in the 500 other men, Zilong presents them with wine and food and tells them that none of this was their fault, and that, if they will assist him in a plot, then, far from being killed, they will be rewarded. Needless to say, they agree with alacrity. As for Chen Ying and Bao Ling, Zilong has them executed straight away. The 500 soldiers return to Guiyang that same night and convince the guards to let them in, saying that Chen Ying and Bao Long have captured and executed Zhao Zilong. Hearing this, Zhao Fan rushes to the gate to meet the soldiers. They immediately seize him and swing open the gates to the enemy. For the second time Zhao Zilong enters the city and immediately seeks to reassure the common folk that all will be well. When Xuanda and Kong Ming come to the captured city, Kong Ming interrogates Zhao Fan and discovers the story of the offer of a wife to Zhao Zilong. He teases Zilong about the offer of a wife, but Zilong is truly appalled that he was offered someone who was effectively his sister-in-law and resolutely refuses to marry her, or indeed to even think about marrying anyone. "There is no shortage of women in the world," he declares, "but I want fame, not a wife." Xuanda frees Zhao Fan and restores him to his post, while Zilong is awarded great riches. This victory of Zhao Zilong only stirs Zhang Fei's anger even more. "Just give me 3,000 warriors, and I will take Wuling, and you will have the governor Jin Xian in front of you before you know it," he says. Kong Ming, delighted with this offer, agrees, but he says, "You must promise to do one thing for me." What is that one thing? Let's find out.